Welcome back to a very special episode of Andrew Says. You know they're all special. We've got Rob from Hewey Media here, one of my favorite pages, and Josiah David from the Slightly Offensive podcast and show, I suppose. His podcast doesn't sound as professional, Josiah. What do you think?
Yeah, I would consider it a show. Definitely more on the YouTube aesthetic for sure.
When it's on audio, I feel like even this show, you just call it a podcast. When it's on video, we'll call it a show. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you guys both for being here. I wanted to introduce you guys both to our Canadian audience who might not be familiar with you guys because I love both of what you guys do. Rob, I know a lot of your content. I know what you do. I just wanted to ask you on air, what exactly got you into this sort of stuff?
Uh, to be honest with you, I didn't like this isn't what I planned to do in the beginning. I just since the Rona coverage, I was just like, this is BS. Like the way that they're, just lying about and twisting and fear mongering with the news. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give my little twist on what's going on. And yeah, just kept rolling with it pretty much since shutdowns 2020.
Yeah, I'd say you're the quintessential individual creator, content creator on your own. I know you do basically everything yourself and put all your stuff out there, and I love it. Josiah, I first heard of you, I think a month ago. I sent you a message or something like that, just seeing you. I really like the cut of your jib, as they say. How did you get involved working for Slightly Offensive there?
Man, what an interesting story. So what had happened was I was out of high school because of COVID, and I was just listening to political podcasts while I was cleaning pools because I had a job cleaning pools. And so I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and that's whenever You Are Here started. And I started watching You Are Here, and I would just catch Elijah saying the most weird things out of context. And I was like, I can't be the only one who finds this funny. So I started recording it and putting it on Instagram, and he really liked it and wanted me to be his producer as soon as Sav was moving into more of a journalistic career path. And so he flew me out to Dallas, and that's how I became the producer. It's a crazy story.
I can only imagine being that young and getting thrown into the lion's den like that. It must be crazy. I want to talk to you guys about some American themes, of course, since you guys are both in the U.S. And I think, Josiah, we'll get to some of the Arizona elections. I'm pretty sure you're from there, right?
Yeah.
The gas prices, though, Rob. I know you're on top of Biden all the time. He's one of your favorites.
Great guy.
What do you think about this idea that, Joe Biden and what's her name, Karima Jean-Pierre, they go out there, and now this guy from the Pentagon too, they go out there after months of saying it's a Putin price hike, the gas prices are all his fault, and now it drops a little bit. It's nowhere back to where it was before 2022, and they're taking credit, and they're sending out graphics and imagery all across the internet about how much cheaper it is, even though it's only a few cents cheaper. And so they've gone up 100%, but they're going down 10%. But it's not Putin's credit. So it's good when it comes down, but it's bad when it goes up, and it's Biden who's bringing it down. Do you think people are actually believing this story? When they go out there and it's completely contradicting what they were saying just a few weeks ago.
Do I think that people believe it?
Yeah.
Is that your question? Yeah, I do, sadly. Yeah, I mean, just look at where we're at. You don't get to this point, unless you have a compliant, really dumbed down society. And yeah, that's the unfortunate truth. I think these people believe literally anything at this point. So yeah, I do.
Well, what do you think it says when they just are so brazenly willing to go out and say the opposite of what they said, like Putin's price hike, like I mentioned, and now it's all Joe Biden's. It's all because of him that the prices are going down just slightly.
Yeah, I just think I think everyday people will be like, yeah, that's ridiculous. But sadly, there's people that believe all of that. Dude, they're changing definitions of recession to fit their BS. dude, like they believe anything. Like that's why we're at this point. And yeah, I mean, I hope people don't believe it, but they do.
Josiah, being a young, handsome man like yourself, or people in your age demographic, and we're going to keep throwing to your age group here, of course, as us old men like to do. Do people in
Awesome.
your age group even care about this stuff? Do you think it's even on their radar?
Yeah, so I think that my generation probably cares the most about it in an unhealthy way, and I think that's why we're seeing my generation is either extremely gay or they're extremely right wing, and it's kind of either one or the other, and it's weird. I think the political climate has taken our culture, and because of that, we're seeing all of the kids involved in politics or involved in some form of LGBTQ leftist kind of ideology because it struck a chord with my generation so much.
Olivia, let's keep it of the three since we're having some harsh Canadian connection here with Josiah. But no, I get what you're saying that it's either complete. It can be completely one way or the other. Rob, I don't know how much you've um, taken from the other side in terms of how much interaction you have, and I want to talk about some of the debates you go on in a second. But you were mentioning to me some of the the threats you were getting. Is this based off of when you go and talk to other people on other debates, or is this just par for the course? You think being a person who puts out content where I think you're just telling the truth and how you see it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I everything I say, I believe in, but my thing is just like we live in a world where even like the truth is like controversial. Like it's like we're living in a time where if you speak the truth, it's controversial, especially in like a corporate setting. And then you got like, lunatics and some, extreme groups that like literally like give death threats over your opinion. Like it's like that's the time period we're living in right now.
Let's talk about some of those debates you go on because you're one of the few people I know that can one actually get into those debates without having people, like deplatform him. That's illegal. And secondly, one of the people who actually is willing to participate into these debates. So I know you had one on a trans debate is recently one I was watching clips of you from, but I've seen you on other ones. What's the idea there? Are you going there to try to trigger? Are we trying to actually come to an agreement? I don't mind if you're there just to trigger, by the way. That's sort of my deal. But what's that experience been like for you going on these other shows and these other live streams like that?
Well, a lot of it's from TikTok, and that's the thing. Like I get my stuff like banned and like censored for doing it. Like I'm on my 11th TikTok account now, and yeah, I mean, I just like they'll have like on TikTok they have like a background. It'll say like trans women are woman or are the same as woman, like just like trans or LGBTQ ideology is okay for children, and like I'll see that stuff and like I'll be like, this just isn't true. I'm gonna give my opinion on this, and I join the live. I'll be like, yeah, like I respect your opinion, but how is a trans woman the same as a woman? Like I'll like genuinely like ask, and then like they get furious, call me a transphobe, and then yeah, and then a lot of time I usually end up getting the boot or kicked off of those whenever I go live. So,
Have you been
but yeah, I
able?
mean, I'm
Go
just want
ahead.
to have a discussion with these people because I mean their logic just isn't there. But yeah.
Have you been able to sort of come to like a friendly disagreement on any of these issues with these people on there?
It depends. I mean, I've been on a lot of them at this point. So like, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a, it can be like, sometimes it's friendly and they'll be like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. But, most of the time it's like these people are just, they end up just calling me a transphobe and a bigot and then cut me off.
As we all know that you are. Just kidding, everybody. I'm just kidding. Rob's a wonderful guy. Josiah, one of the reasons I brought you guys on at the same time is because I know that working with Elijah and with your company might have people just randomly giving you, a rough time for it. Have you experienced any of that yet? Is it still too early to tell? Or again, because of your age group, are people, messaging you that you used to be friends with, calling you a bigot or anything?
Yeah, well, whenever I first had kind of came out of the political closet as a Trump supporter. I was in Arizona, and a lot of people there didn't really. I mean, at the time, they weren't super involved in politics, and it was typically always like women who would hate Trump the hardest, and it was never really any of my male friends. But then as soon as I started posting about like abortions and stuff, there was some backlash, but the support really has outweighed the hate, honestly. And I lost a lot of followers, I think probably over like 1,000 followers on Instagram from posting, and I got back like 3,000 followers. And it's just kind of funny how that all works. Is just what the enemy takes away, God restores twofold. So I've been blessed.
That's a shirt idea. Let's start selling that on a shirt. I support that. I want to talk to you guys also about. I was just writing down a bunch of the biggest topics from today because I haven't gotten a chance to speak with anyone about them. Pelosi to Taiwan. Now, this is one of these confusing ones. I don't know how close you guys have been following it, so my apologies if it's not on the tip of your radar. But, Rob, Pelosi going to Taiwan has like so many facets to it. There's her husband buying the stock and then selling the stock in NVIDIA right before they go over. We've got Pelosi going over, and people are saying that, how great it is that somebody's going to Taiwan. And then you have Ishii going there to, try to bump up the stock for these people that obviously dropped after they got exposed for buying it. Or is this just to give China an excuse to move in on Taiwan? What is your interpretation of all this? Do you have a hot take, young man?
Oh, man.
Are you talking to me, or are
yes,
you talking to...
I was referring to you
Okay.
as young man this time, actually.
So this is my take. It just kind of, at the end of the day, assuming that this isn't staged, which it likely would not surprise me if it was, but assuming this isn't political theater, at the end of the day, Pelosi is 82 years old, and I just feel like, let's say that it's crucial that we get information from Taiwan for whatever reason. Let's give the government the benefit of the doubt. It's like, is this really the best that we got to send Nancy Pelosi? Like, the lady's like, I mean, looks like she's drunk out of her mind most of the time. And yeah, just like, feel like we could do better than that, And if she does go there and she does get crucial information, like, is she gonna remember it? Is my thing. It's just like, this lady's, just out of her mind. Like, I just feel like there's millions and millions of people in America. Like, this is the best that we got. I just think, like, step out of politics for a second. Like, like, we could just do better. Like, whether you're Democrat or Republican, you should be able to, like, say we could send someone that's not 82 years old, still is, like, cognitive over there. So, yeah.
Well, do you think what information, are you referring to a specific type of information she's supposedly gathering?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I heard the whole NVIDIA thing, and I heard, the whole insider trading thing. But assuming that it's more than that, which I don't know. Like, I feel we don't know the whole story. Like, it could be something deeper. I just don't know. But regardless of what it is, it's just like, we're risking pissing off Russia and China, which they already said that they're pissed off about the visit. So we're risking that to get, like, to send Nancy Pelosi and get her intel. Like, it just doesn't seem worth the trade-off. But I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not one of those war experts that they like to call it. So
she's not your choice for talk. She's not your Jason Bourne, let's say. I guess we can call it. Josiah, where do you stand on this? Are you believing any of the mainstream stories about it? Do you think it might be to just, Tucker? And the reason I mention that is because Tucker Carlson the other day was basically alluding to the fact, I think, in my opinion, that she's going there to try to help the Chinese make a move on Taiwan, and that would be an excuse for them to move in on there. Do you have an opinion on this?
That would make more sense to me, but man, honestly, I feel like this is kind of those things where it's let's put a woman there to Taiwan, like this battlefield. There's stuff that's going on, and it's more of like a woman empowerment thing to me. I doubt that she's gonna get anything positive done by going there, and I think this is all just kind of to get eyes off of America. I'm one of the America First guys. Like, why are we going to Taiwan? Why are we doing all of this stuff? We need to figure out everything here first. And whenever we start figuring out things in America first and our economy first and start putting our citizens first, everything else kind of falls in line. And I mean, whenever Trump was in office, he did have more American first policies, and the world wasn't collapsing and World War III wasn't on the brink of happening. I mean, took care of North Korea while simultaneously still taking care of America, policies and economic principles and stuff. And I think that this is all probably a psyop. Like most of the things done by the regime is a psyop.
Yeah, I feel like it came out of nowhere, and I feel like each time there's a big screw up in America these days, they're going harder and faster with the things to kind of cover it up. And I mentioned that because I noticed after that horrible speech from Biden, I don't know where he was, in front of a garbage dump or something, or a ravine, I don't remember, but when he said that everybody he grew up with has cancer, like that huge gaffe, they're like, oh, he's got COVID now. And then he comes back and they're changing the word recession's meaning, and everybody's like, they're literally changing the definition of this word now. Oh, he's got COVID again. And then he comes back, and then, all of a sudden Nancy Pelosi's going. There's this big story there as we rebuild the wall. We're rebuilding the wall, everybody. Don't pay attention to that. She's all of a sudden going over there. So I think there's all these games that are constantly being played, and I think it's getting more and more obvious. And at this point, another half a bill to Ukraine gets sent over, and it's like they're going hard and fast and just, the plane's going downward in a spiral, but they're going to keep pulling it up every notch they can for that extra second that they can buy to, basically blow all your guys' money. And I say you guys because I don't have to pay American taxes, I don't think. Should check in on that, but maybe I do. Rob, I wanted to ask you furthermore about some of the stuff you create out there. And it's basically, do you find these memes that I know that you like to do and comment on, do you think these are going to keep being more effective moving forward? Or do you think that people are clamoring for a bit more like written content? And I don't say this insultingly. I bring this up because I was funny enough trying to look up where donuts originated from. And I click on an article, it's from like 2008, and it starts off with, well, when I was in the Smithsonian Museum last week, and I'm like, nobody's going to read this. I'm not going to read this. Do you see this as an effective way moving forward? Do you still think we're going to move forward with a meme war for the 2024 election? Or do you think there's going to have to be something more like satirical articles or some other form of media to sort of get the message across as, like, they're banning the word groomer and stuff. You can't even tell the truth about anything. Do you have any predictions as to how they're going to start censoring things and how that's going to be counteracted?
Yeah, so I think that people have short attention spans, and it's only getting shorter, like, the dumber that society gets, and just just like people are on their phones all day, they want quick points. So I think the memes and the short form videos are always going to be effective, but I mean, just it depends on the person, really. The long form is always going to be good for the people that there are still people that watch whole videos and read whole articles, but I would say the average person is pretty dumb. So you got to keep it short.
Rob, just telling it like it is. You're not going to win too many left-wing audiences with that one, I don't think. You guys are just dumb. No, yeah, we've put an accent on you from henceforth. Josiah, Mark Zuckerberg said he wants to make Instagram more like TikTok moving forward and Facebook more like it moving forward. You see Getter's already got that with their vision. I'm sure Twitter's going to try to do something like that. Do you think that's wise, or do you think there's something else that's going to be like ahead of the curve coming up in these elections? And I keep asking about that because every time, 2016 and 2020, they just find a different way to censor. First it was YouTube, and then they wanted to take things off of Twitter and Facebook all day long. I feel like there's going to be some other move that they're going to have to do to completely stop integral information coming up to key elections.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. But here's the thing with the going back to the question about YouTube Shorts and Instagram competing with TikTok. That makes the most sense to me because YouTube has Shorts to compete with TikTok, YouTube's algorithm rewards shorts, and YouTube's algorithm also rewards streaming. And so that means that YouTube's competing against Twitch, and they're trying to compete against TikTok. So they're basically trying to create almost like a monopoly on where you're getting all of your information, because TikTok is too rambunctious. You go on TikTok and see something stabbed. You can go on TikTok and see a 3-year-old doing a WAP dance. It's too, they don't have enough control, and the technocrats don't like that. So they're trying to compete against all of these other platforms so that they can be the one place people go and see their all of the content, so that way it's monitored under their algorithm, under their little tyrants. And I think that that's a bad thing. But on the flip side, I think that we know YouTube can't. Right now, YouTube isn't censoring. The algorithm new. They don't know how to do it really. So we can, as the right-wing people, start taking advantage of these algorithms, getting the word out there, and we need to push people to our own platform. I mean, you have Blaze TV, which is a platform that has uncensored content where you guys can go and find us, and Rumble is starting to expand more and more. And I think that we need to kind of get the message out right now while they can't censor it, and take advantage of this algorithm, start live streaming, start putting up shorts, and then send them all to Rumble or send them all to Blaze TV and get them out of this technocratic tyranny.
Yeah, I think there was a time leading up to the 2016 election where people were sort of going towards more of a, let me go to this website sort of deal. And it had a lot to do with Alex Jones and InfoWars, and I want to talk about that behind the paywall, of course. But I feel like people were starting to go towards that early internet style, and Rob, you're probably old enough to remember as well. Like the idea of going, these are the websites I go to every day, or this is like a forum I go to. I feel like everybody would benefit from going back to that sort of thing, monetarily at least, where you could support more creators. But I think more creators are going back to that model. You see Caitlin Bennett, for example, is almost completely off of YouTube. She has subscriptions on that. Blaze TV as a model is subscription-based with clips online and some shows on YouTube. And, of course, we have our Rebel News Plus. Daily Wire is, creating this whole network behind a paywall. So I hope that everybody's not just going to keep going to YouTube moving forward. And I think the way that happens is more competition. And that's why I try to support Getter for better or for worse, in the sense that it's an alternate space where you might not agree with everything they do, but they're more agreeable, I think, ideologically than Twitter or Facebook might be. And if there can be more competition from Truth Social, for example, then I'm all for it, because especially in a place like the video game world, more competition is always better. And when there isn't competition, you can look at any company like Electronic Arts or I forget who makes Call of Duty after they changed. But less competition, they just mail it in. They just start recycling the same old crap. And I feel like that's what a lot of the social media platforms do. And they just sort of copy each other. And there's not that much real competition going on between Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. But I want to go beyond the paywall, ask you guys about this Alex Jones trial, and talk about the Arizona elections that just happened. Olivia, back to me, both arms wide, embracing you guys to go to rebelnewsplus.com, where it's only $8 a month, less than Netflix, less than Amazon Prime. You don't want to go to there. They just changed their format. It's slow. rebelnewsplus.com, and you can get myself, Ezra Levant Show, all the shows and all the new documentaries that are coming out, including the Great Reset documentary, which will be up there on full eventually, and of course the trucker documentaries. rebelnewsplus.com. We'll see you there with Josiah and Rob. All right, guys, the GOP primaries and I think some mayoral elections happened. What's her name, Rob?
Carrie Lake.
Carrie Lake, yes, but I'm thinking of Meghan McCain, who is upset by this. She's upset that people are going, quote, full MAGA, and conspiracy theorists, of course, she had to tag on to that. Is this the proper reaction? Should people be saying this is good, that we're upsetting people like Meghan McCain that are establishment types, or is that just sort of like a narrative that's being used to push these people?
Honestly, I don't know enough about her response, but this is the first time I'm hearing about it. But I do know that who cares what Meghan McCain thinks is my thoughts on that. But I do think that I mean a lot of these elections like this with this whole mail-in BS, it's shady. I don't care what side you're on. It's like we're in 2022. and we're still like mailing stuff to the government like the day after and stuff. They're counting. Like, it's like I just feel like we have things like and blockchain technology. Like, we can't have a better voting system. Like, I just feel like our voting system, regardless of what party you're on, is just outdated. Like, it's I don't know. It's just like we could do better than that.
Well, what I'm getting at is the idea that they're positioning some of these Republican candidates as non-establishment, and that's how they're positioning Carrie Lake. Is she's going to piss off the old rhinos? Do you think that's accurate, or do you think it's now being used as like a trademark to get more votes? To say, hey, I'm anti-establishment, guys, vote for me, because I personally can't name any of her policies or her beliefs. And I could be wrong about this, Josiah. I'll go to you in a second, but I feel like now it's the thing to do. I mean, Trump Trump endorsed two candidates like by default by saying one name. It was two candidates of two guys who had the same first name, and people didn't know who he meant. Like, is this sort of just like a thing now? People say is that they're anti-establishment or like full MAGA or something. Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And a Trump endorsement is just a check. You just write him a check off your campaign and say, "Can I be endorsed?" It just costs money. I mean, Trump endorsements they're not really as legit as I think people make them seem. And I think the wave right now, the huge red wave, is everybody's going to be using buzzwords like rhino or ultra MAGA or ultra super duper MAGA. It's like all of these weird words to show I'm more patriotic than you. And whenever it comes to the policies, whenever it comes down to the votes, that's how we know. That's how we're able to sift them through. And we have to be quick on our feet and not get complacent with these career politicians and sell their soul to China for money or sell their soul to the regime. And I think that's how we do it. And you guys have to be quicker whenever you vote, because if you see a policy that's voted that isn't voted how you wanted to, don't re-elect them. And I know it's hard because you're complacent and it's easier for you to just elect somebody who's been in office for 12 years that you trust, but you have to get these people out of office, and you have to find out who the real ones are and sift through the fake.
I'm predicting a title for this video, something along the lines of "People are dumb." A lot of positivity
that's
here.
All of Elijah's titles, essentially. It's laughing at dumb TikTokers and the regime patriots are stupid. And these are the titles, man.
Well, I think we've looped back around to now where people don't care if you do stuff like that. Remember when it was Ben Shapiro, Rex, transgender student or something, and then everybody was like, oh, this is a meme, this is stupid now. But I think we've gone full circle now where people are okay with Hewey Media calls everybody dumb. Or something like that, or rocks the foundation at a Wawa gas station. See that, Rob? I know Pennsylvania references.
He's got Wawa down, yeah.
That's right.
I love Wawa.
I feel like people are taking Arizona as a particular battleground for old Republican versus sort of like the new right. And I know a guest on this program, Samira Armstrong, is running for mayor in Sedona. I keep looking for those results. I can't find them, so we'll just...
Actress, yeah.
Yeah. And that had a big effect down there. And she was battling with somebody else who I won't name ideologically. And it's all these little pockets of stuff where it's like old GOP wrestling with the new guys, and right down to the election scandal that happened. We had people who didn't want to count the votes versus people who were saying, no, we have to. Why are we forgetting this? And I think you might end up seeing that happen in other states in the upcoming elections where, some people are just willing to roll over and die and other people are not. And I brought up Meghan McCain because she's sort of the person who says if you think there are election irregularities, then you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. And I'm not a big fan of hers, as you can tell. And there's a lot of people like that. And I think there's a lot more people, dare I say, like us, where we kind of just want to know what the truth is. We don't have to actually play these partisan games. And speaking of truth, you guys, the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys, I have about a few minutes left. Alex Jones is on trial. Do we want to talk about this? Josiah, can you legally talk about this?
I'm not even sure, honestly, with the contracts and how thick they are whenever you start getting into the media business.
Well, here's the thing. it's coming out today, allegedly, of course. It's always allegedly. The Patriots are in control. But the opposing lawyer is saying that Alex Jones's lawyer accidentally sent him a digital copy of everything on his phone. You know, like when you plug in a phone to your computer and you can basically read it like it's a drive. Apparently, the lawyer sent it all to the opposing lawyer. Didn't get it protected because I think when you submit something like by accident, it's not admissible as evidence. But they didn't. He's saying that they didn't protect it, and now Alex Jones is allegedly, of course, according to this guy, the prosecuting lawyer, you know, catching him in lies. And Alex Jones is there saying he's having his Perry Mason moment. Rob, I'll go to you first. Do you think this is even worth like paying attention to? Do you think it's going to affect Alex Jones anymore? Like, can he be double canceled or quadruple canceled?
Well, here's the thing. It's just like the way that I see all that is just like when you get with lawyers and like obviously Alex Jones, like they're really going hard after conspiracy theorists because these conspiracy theorists have been right way more than the experts these past few years. And Alex Jones is, you know, he's like, when you think conspiracy theorists, he's one of the goats of the conspiracy game. And a lot of times he's right. And so they're going after him super hard. And I saw that he admitted that it was like 100% fake, but I was, or 100% real, I meant to say. But I was thinking like, at the end of the day, like he's probably going up against some of the best lawyers because they're going hard at this, I guess, niche of conspiracy theorist. And yeah, I think he's just, you know, probably saying what they want to say just because they have amazing lawyers and he's kind of in a, you know, a lot of that stuff is hard to prove. I mean, none of us will really ever know the truth about that. But personally, I think I don't know what to think. Like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised either or, like, if that was real or if it was fake. Like, I do remember seeing some sketchy things with that, but I don't know.
I wanted to refer to how the lawyer, like, allegedly, of course, we have to say all that crap, but allegedly, and I believe it completely, that you have to say allegedly, legally, Joe Biden is the greatest president of all time with 80 trillion votes. That who knows what the lawyer is thinking. But the problem I see is there's a clip of this judge in the trial saying, you know, Alex, just because you say things doesn't mean it's true. And I was kind of thinking, like, aren't you allowed to have an opinion? Like, like a man's not allowed to sit there and be like, this is my opinion, and like I'm not telling you to do anything. Keep in mind he did apologize like just days later when he got the legal warning, of course, and everything, and you retracted it all. It doesn't matter to them, of course. But I'm just sitting there thinking, not even in a defense of Alex Jones, that can't you just sit there and pontificate about a news story? And yes, it might cause emotional harm to people. I don't know, but the way the judge was speaking, it seemed like why is he so special is what I want to know. Like, there's people that are better and worse than Alex Jones, and why is he so special? There's YouTube accounts and TikTok accounts with millions upon millions of followers. You get more hits every day because they're being pushed by the algorithm. You could have a person saying that they're, you know, a trans werewolf on TikTok, get 5 million views a month, and, you know, there's nothing conspiratorial about that. There's no medical misinformation thing about that. But that's allowed, and thank God it's allowed, because if I can't watch yeah, exactly. If I can't watch werewolf TikTok cringe compilations, then I don't know what I'm going to do with my Sundays, Josiah. We have to get going, unfortunately. Josiah, anything else you wanted to close off with?
You know, I think that the reason why Alex is such a special case and why they are trying to take him down so much is because he's already been taken down before and before again and before that, and somehow he's still here. And so I think that they finally see somebody who has just as much fight in them as the regime wants to put all of their forces to take him down. He just keeps coming back, and so they're scared. And he still has a platform that reaches people, and he still has a crazy fan base. I was just at a movie premiere for one of his newest movies that are going to come out, and I mean, the production on it is great. The documentary, like the whole crew, is just, he really knows about this media stuff. He's been doing it for a long time. He knows the aesthetic. He knows how to pull people in. And so that's why they hate him, is because they've tried to take him down. they tried to pull his website, and they just keep coming back stronger every single time. And that's why they have to hit it in his pocketbook. They have to figure something out how to take away his money, because that's how they'll take away your livelihood and try and make you quit.
Josiah David from Slightly Offensive and Blave TV, thanks for joining me. They're claiming Alex Jones at one point on InfoWars was making $800,000 a day, which was a claim that I guess they got from his phone records. Rob from Hewey Media, follow him on Instagram. Anything else you want to mention, Rob, before we let you go?
Yeah, just I guess back on the Alex Jones point, it's just like, imagine if they held the politicians to the same standard as Alex Jones. Like, I'm not going to say Alex Jones bats 1,000, because I mean it's impossible to bat 1,000, but he's been right a lot more than than they want to give him credit for. And it's like, these politicians, just look at what they said about the poke. I don't know. I don't want to say it on your thing.
That's fine. We're behind the paywall now. You can call it an injection.
Okay.
You can call it the vaccine anti-vaxxer Rob from Hewey Media.
But yeah, the garbage ass vaccine. So happy I'm behind the paywall and can say that. The trash ass vaccine that doesn't do any good. These politicians were, I mean, just remember what they said in the beginning. Like, they said, like, oh, if you get this thing, you're good, you'll be safe. And then people started getting sick, even though they got it. And they're like, oh, well, at least you didn't end up in the hospital. And then recently, Dr. Burke said, like, yeah, like, half and half are in the hospital. Like, they keep changing the narrative, and clearly, like, they're, what they said originally is not true at all. But where is the lawsuits on them for all their misinformation that they pump to the public?
It's never going to happen. We're never going to see Nancy Pelosi sit in front of a judge about her trading habits. We're not going to see Hunter in front of a judge about his recording himself running naked into the ocean habits. I don't think we're going to see any of that. We will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for joining me. We'll see Rob at a Wawa listening to CKY and all the other references I can think of from Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Have a good one.
There we go. Thanks for having me. Always good.
Senate side where they get to the stall, and house side where they get to the walk, and no side for the people as often. Rush Limbaugh, boy, you know that I'm talking. Ayy, Rush Limbaugh, boy, you know that I'm talking. Ayy, look, Rush Limbaugh, boy, you know that I'm Senate side. I don't trust a single soul inside. Need to euthanize, sit on their ass while they loot the guys with their suits and ties. We rip them off with the strength of gods. If I see Nancy Pelosi or Kevin McCarthy, we fighting like Budokai. Yeah.